Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic veteran with Yanzi Lynn, and today is the day we are taking a stroll through the American comic book industry once again. But before we do it, please hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Now, something historic happened yesterday. A historic stream by the great Dale Keown. And believe it or not, it made comic book news. Now, before we get into it, what's interesting about this is, one, the fact that this happened. We do a stream, Ballers, with Dale Keown right here on this channel. We'll be on later tonight, 10 p.m. I will be the host this week. Dale Keown, Patrick Parnell, and Mandy Summers will all be there, and we will ball like none other. But here's the thing. Dale decided to do a stream on his own. Good for him. We've been trying to get him to stream, and he came in kind of a little drunk. He came, he was having a little drinky poo. He'd been up working up awake almost 30 some hours, and he was angry about Marvel and the Hulk. And then he fell asleep in his chair for an epic 5 or so hours before being woken up by someone who lives with him. I think his girlfriend. Then ended up on another live stream that we were on over on Ethan Van Sciver's, where we were launching Wraith of God 2, which is up and funding right now, and had a gigantic launch in just little over 6 hours. Aaron Lepresti, comic book veteran, raised over $50,000. Now, there's a lot of things happening here that I want to point out in this video. One, there's nothing being talked about on Bleeding Cool. Let's look at Bleeding Cool. It's anything and everything, right? They talk about video games, they talk about Star Trek, they talk about, I don't even know, there's rarely anything comic newsworthy. You can literally see Bleeding Cool divesting themselves of the American comic book industry by talking about everything but comics. Okay, so back to Dale. Okay, one of the things that was historic that was happening is all this money that Aaron Lepresti was raising over on the Ethan Van Sciver's channel on his second book. Okay, it's surpassing the first book per day. I think Aaron was saying Wraith of God 1 raised $30-some thousand in the first 24 hours or something like that. Well, he shot way past that in a fraction of the time. So what's going on here? Why doesn't the American comic book industry talk about all these big crowdfunders that are happening over on Indiegogo, even some Kickstarter? Why? Because it doesn't fit the mainstream comic book narrative of publishers, people work for hire, having to work for them, and so on and so forth. So instead, all these things are happening in the same hours, okay? Simultaneously, these things are happening. What does Bleeding Cool do? They go write a mocking article towards Dale Keown in this stream. I kid you not. So let's go through the article.
It seems like the only times Bleeding Cool even wants to touch Comicsgate is to take pot shots at Comicsgate, right? So
Right.
Dale Keown's first live YouTube has him asleep for the last 4 hours. So pretty much Dale went on by himself to do streaming, where he talks, I guess Rich Johnson calls it in rather extreme language, about Marvel Comics raping the Hulk, about how drunk he is, how he loves the Hulk but hates Mark Ruffalo. All right, he is a bit preachy. And Marvel and Disney as a whole, and also about his admiration for fellow YouTuber and creator Mandy Summers. And then he falls asleep. So it's all right, so obviously the way that someone just latched on to the fact that Dale Keown is streaming is, I guess you can say mainstream comics is actually watching Comicsgate, believe it or not. And they only want to talk about things where basically Comicsgaters can't really profit from in a way. We cannot talk about Wraith of God 2 launching and making over $60,000 in less than 6 hours. We can't talk about that. We have to talk about a guy who drew the Hulk and had his own series, Pit. And that's all we can talk about. Yeah, he fell asleep on live stream. Okay, sure.
Okay, you could say this is a passive-aggressive shot to alert Marvel that Dale Keown has choice criticism about certain actors that play as the Hulk, or people that maybe he doesn't like Disney. So Marvel knows never to hire him again. You could say that. That's probably a little bit of this. But at the same time, why not talk about a Marvel comic? Why not talk about why people are excited about something Marvel and DC are putting out? Why not take the same time and resources, because you desperately need news? Talk about some crowdfunding books. Why not do that? Why not show people the American comic book industry isn't dying, that you can still buy comics from your favorite comic book creators. I'm going to have an Inglorious Rex cover from Dale Keown in Inglorious Rex 2. Sign up is alive, guys. Do go check it out. Do go sign up. These are things that it's like, as far as the mainstream comic book industry, press, people, printers, publishers, whatever you want to call it, the shield media, is this a I'll cut my nose off to spite my face situation? There is things to talk about. Bleeding Cool could fill up their comic book rumor page or the news site, whatever you want to call it, a lot easier if they would just be very inclusive to everyone participating in the comic art form, despite politics, despite calling people a hate group that obviously are not, you know, like they're actually having fun. It's just passive aggressive. It's almost like you're trying to shine a flashlight on Comicsgate without actually alerting people or legitimizing Comicsgate. It's like really bending over backwards to even make this article a thing, ignoring at the same time people are raising a lot of money for another campaign that then Dale went on to this stream. So it's like, you know, you could even, I mean, it's really hard for you to even construct this article, but it's really hard for me to understand why even do this? You know, what is this? It's a desperate state of journalism, sure, but or relevance, trying to stay relevant. But in the end, it's like, if you need to even do this article, in the end, you're going to need to talk about Comicsgate books and how much money they raised in the first day, or the End of 60 campaign, or any of that, like, or do reviews. Eventually, you're going to have to go there. Like, you're already dipping your toe in a way. Now, with Dale, and this being like one of his first live streams, what do you think happened through all this mocking of this article and stuff? Dale shot up. He shot up, like, he's almost gonna probably be off of one stream. We'll end up in 1,000 subs by the time you watch this video. And that's insane for YouTubing. For one live stream to get you that far on such little, like, content, because you're basically watching him sleep. And that was before this article. And I'm not even sure if that article would exist if we weren't seeing that sub count jumping up. Before that article went up, I think he was at 800. Do note that I think while he was still on that stream, he was at 700. So this isn't Bleeding Cool taking credit for his thriving sub count. I mean, because that'll probably happen later on. Rich Johnson will try to claim like this is from him. But it's like, wow, it's like, where are we at? Like, what is, and it makes sense. It's like, there's nothing to talk about in comic book news because there's nothing worth talking about in mainstream comics right now. But there's all this great stuff somewhere else that, you know, a certain choice people in the shill media just choose not to talk about. So then in the end, who does that benefit in the long term? You're going to end up with a comic book site talking about Pokemon cards and like Star Trek movies, and not comic books. So think about that a little bit. And I want to remind people again, Ballers tonight will be on this channel. Dale Keown, maybe he'll stay awake. And Inglorious Rex sign up is live. Please go check that out. Also, Dale Keown's channel will be in the description. Go over there, check it out. Leave him a sub, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. And we will catch you guys again with another video.